Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan, and there's one thing that's certain about Total War Warhammer 3 is that sieges are very much lacking. The recent update did solve a lot of issues when it came to siege battles, and they are admittedly a lot better, but variety is missing, especially for very important cities which just look like generic maps, stuff that you see so often it becomes almost unbearable. Thankfully, however, a group of modders have been working on siege maps, which are available in custom battles and also available in campaign. You're going to need a bunch of mods for that. I'll have them all linked in the description below, but as you can see, this is the first one, which is Kazak, which is absolutely amazing considering that it is a true underground map, which means not only will you be fighting in a cavern, but also inside the Kazak too. So this map is Kazak. It will only be found in Kazak. There's only one main entry point, which means that if you're the defender, you're going to be able to fight those orcs back quite well. Very beneficial to you if you're going to be playing in harder difficulties. And there's also platforms there, raised platforms, where you can have artillery firing, which means, yes, you know, that whole thing that you saw in the trailer for Warhammer 1 is now doable. As this is the main city for the dwarves, there are actually two gates that you need to get through before you fight inside the city. It's very compact, but then again, this is a dwarf hold, so you're not going to be expecting massive areas of flat land. This is more choke points, and yeah, it's super cool. One of the most impressive maps I've seen so far. There's going to be a number showcased here, and then we're going to be talking about everything in general, how I thought about these, because I've been playing around doing some custom battles and so on, and it's pretty interesting to see this in play, especially as you can start doing some really cool things and have unique maps to be able to cleanse the palette rather than seeing the same thing over and over. As that was a dwarf hold, it was a fairly small hold. So let's look at an even bigger map. This is Castle Kuran, which is probably one of the biggest I've seen in terms of not only custom maps, but also in Total War Warhammer 3. This is massive scale, and it's got multiple layers. It's just absolutely insane. There's not only just a lot of areas that you can get into, including a throne room, so you'll be able to fight inside of the throne room of the Principal Dukedom of Bretonnia, which, by the way, the camera does sometimes clip. What you have to actually do is go down low to be able to use the camera properly for that, which I think is super cool. But yeah, multiple layers. It is a absolutely huge castle. So if you're looking for multiple areas to have trebuchets firing from, if you're looking for loads of places for your archers, there's even big enough areas for you to be able to get pretty good charges off with your knights. So yes, your knights on horseback will still be relatively useful here. It is absolutely stunning. Hell, one of the control points is a jousting area, which is insane. Like, absolutely stunning. The level of detail in a map like this, I can only imagine how long it's taken to create something this big. It's still following the format of that of Warhammer 3, you know, where you're not getting full 360s. I'm not sure if there is a full 360 map here yet, but it's still just amazingly impressive. You can see it. It's huge. The walls stretch for really miles and miles and miles. You've got platforms on the top. You've still got the basic wall styling, so the enemy's still going to have to attack you with siege equipment or just smashing down the walls or the gate. Yeah, again, super impressive, huge. This is more or less the scale of that of the Grand Cafe siege maps. You know, those ones are really, really big. Hell, just being able to fight inside buildings also, which are, by the way, proper buildings. So one of them is an abbey, like a church, a cathedral. You actually have to fight your way through. Again, amazing level of quality and detail. How about we go into a different map? This one is Castle Darkenhof, so something really unique for the vampire counts. And yeah, I mean, you can see from the layout, it's really different. It's very, very small. It is actually one of the smaller siege maps that I've seen, but it really brings in something special. Mostly because you'd be fighting in, essentially, Transylvania. Lots of choke points, lots of held down stuff. It's good for a vampire count, actually, because at the end of the day, you won't have anything flanking you. You don't really need points for range, because you barely have any, barring the state troopers that you can get. I like it. I actually really, really like it. Small, compact, but well enough to be able to defend without too much of a problem. So if you're dealing with enemy attacking you, sometimes the Empire might attack with 2, 3 armies. this will at least bog them down, and they'll have to come from one area. If you've got Wind of Death coming out, that's going to be very useful, or Pendulum, or pretty much anything with a breath or a vortex. Obviously, keep in mind that a lot of these maps have these control points, which will be able to give you some extra bonuses. So as long as you're controlling them, you might get some extra speed and so on, which is very useful for your vampires. Yeah, it's really special. I am a big fan of just, in general, all the visual aspects to it. You've got walls that you'll be able to defend from, which also have some towers, but that's pretty much your only range. And just start the ultimate slog, where you'll be able to do a lot of damage. I am really keen on this. It's something which proves again that you don't really need a massive map, it just needs to look good. Plus, it looks really special when you go from it from a distance shot, and you just see Morsleep looking down with just the really muted color palette of this. It's really cool looking. I'm a big, big fan. Grand Cafe also has a really special looking one for Hanyu Port, because one of the biggest issues, and it's my bugbear, I don't know if it's for everyone else, but there's a lot of maps which are port cities, but the maps aren't really ports. And they, again, don't look special. A lot of the Grand Cafe major cities are identical. I think there's only like 2 or 3 major cities. So, yeah. But, yeah, when we get into it, it's really massive. It kind of gives you that whole Cafe and Ministera feel with the multiple layers going up. There's loads of areas to fight into. There's a lot of areas just to be able to have extra range shooting down. So if you've got a garrison and a full 20 stack, you're going to have enough room for them to be able to do as much damage as possible. The scenery looks fantastic. There is the port that you can't really use, unfortunately. But, yeah, you know, it's there. It's visual. It's to prove that this is a port city, which is very, very important, at least to me, from a visual point of view. Honestly, again, a great map. I would say which one is like the best and all that, but they're all so stupidly unique, which is just absolutely special, because the more stuff like this, the more that the modders are working on stuff like this, it's going to make your campaigns a lot more bearable when it comes to siege battles, because you'll have a different map. Variety is the spice of life. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who feels this way, because once you've done the same 5 maps over and over and over again, yeah, it's a major problem. And the last map is one that we've actually showcased on this channel before, which was originally done for domination mode. This is Mordheim, City of the Damned. So it's going to be a really interesting thing, because obviously this isn't a major settlement, this is a minor settlement, but yeah, man, let's check it out. It's super cool. It's exactly what you expect from Mordheim. There's a massive crater, which kind of shows where one of the big meteors landed and pretty much screwed over the city. From there, you've got loads of open spaces to be able to fight, because it's reminiscent of that of Mordheim, you know, or Mordheim City of the Damned. So the tabletop and the video game, there's a massive square that you'll be able to fight to get your weird stone. It's not warp stone back then. It is really, really cool, and it's very traditional in the old form of sieges, where it's just one big wall, but rather than being just flat, it is actually angled, so it's a little bit of a circle there. I like it. I honestly am a big fan. It was really cool how it was before for domination mode. I think it's really cool how it is now. It's stunning. You've got all this scenery. It is a really, really good looking map. And sometimes it shows that it doesn't have to be like completely flashy for it to give you that feeling of Warhammer as it stands. This feels like a Warhammer fantasy map, and I think that's really, really important. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to showcase just 2 AI fighting. So I'm going to leave my troops inside of the Bretonnian throne room, because the AI does work for this. They actually do go out and control cities and fight in different locations. Sometimes the AI can be buggy, but keep in mind that it's not just the AI because of the mod, it's Total War AI, right? Like, yeah, they make silly mistakes. There's 2 randomly generated armies. The defenders are the Bretonnians, and the aggressors are the beastmen led by Morga the Shadowgave. And yeah, they work perfectly fine. The deployment can be weird, but that depends on the battle itself and what the armies are attacking. Obviously, this is a custom battle rather than going into a campaign. Just, again, AI purposes. I feel like the AI does perform quite well. It obviously depends on what they're using to attack. So when you see a standard army coming in, it won't be as kind of hectic as they are when you randomly generate them. But yeah, they were using the siege equipment to go on the towers. The defenders were going onto the walls to defend them. Sometimes they were pushing back. The knights were going back and trying to get into another location to get a good charge for. Even stuff like Centaurs were actually going into, like, sneaking through and trying to capture a location, which again shows that the base AI knows exactly what to do with these types of things. There are some little issues, but again, it's something that we've seen in vanilla where the gate might have been opened, but a bunch of enemy units still waited outside before going in. It's something that clearly needs CA to kind of fix up. AI has always been a problem with Total War. It's only getting worse with Warhammer 3 sometimes. It's getting better in some cases, but I mean, you remember a few patches back, I think during the launch or the patch after the Chaos Dwarfs, where enemy aero armies or just artillery, anything with range, was just not firing, so you could literally just charge into them because they weren't moving or anything. It's disappointing when that happens. I don't know what exactly breaks that, but that happened in vanilla, so it sometimes can happen with your modded playthrough. Either way, when it comes to this, visual distinction is a massive thing. It adds a lot more flavor to your campaigns. Sure, it's not that many maps right now, and obviously there is a really wonderful one for the Araby mod. The only reason why I haven't shown that one is because, well, it counts as a completely different mod by itself, whereas these are for like the vanilla factions, right? Stuff that's already in game that you paid for, or Bretonia, which was free, but you know, the ones that you had to basically buy to get access to. All the mods required for this are going to be found in the description below. I'm not sure if you need to start a brand new campaign. I imagine so, but yeah, completely awesome. It's going to be a while until we start seeing loads and loads of map mods. I've spoken to some map modders and they've shown me some progress of stuff, which looks absolutely amazing. So slowly but surely, we're getting GCCM back, even if it's not GCCM, right? I hope someone makes a huge compilation though, because again, it's easier than downloading 50, 60 different map mods. You never know for the future. This is definitely something which is going to level up your gameplay. Even if this is just 5 maps so far, it's definitely going to give you a reason to play the battles rather than just auto-resolve. Fancy new maps is always nice. And I'll be very honest with you, I very much doubt that Creative Assembly are going to spend dev time on creating new maps, barring for that of like, you know, DLC drops and so on. But they're not going to completely change the siege system to this, which is what it should be, you know, a little bit more variety and so on. I very much doubt it. It's a shame, but we have to make peace with that. Thankfully, modders do come in and save the day with these types of things. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day, guys.